Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Z Garcia.
I'm Camilla.
I'm Mike Delisio.
Today we're taking a look at Cthulhu, Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. This is a new core box for Cthulhu, Death May Die that offers you 2 great old ones, 6 episodes, a bunch of characters you can play, the investigators, whatever they're called, and is basically both a jumping on point to Cthulhu, Death May Die. You can just play out of this box and you're ready to go. Or you can treat it as an expansion with more stuff if you already know and have played Cthulhu, Death May Die and that, crowdfunded content. There's quite a bit of it, to be honest. So we're going to be talking about this box specifically here. I'm going to do a brief overview of how the game works. I'm mainly focusing on a couple of new ideas that are new to this wave of Death May Die. Let's take a look at that. To set up the game, you are going to pick an episode, such as one of these episodes that comes in the box. You're going to pick an Elder one, and you're going to combine the components from those 2 things. That's going to give you an Elder one stack here, the big bad, and some abilities that you need to deal with. It's going to give you the minions of the Elder one, and then over here is the episode side, where you're going to have some episode monsters, as well as the setup of the map, which you'll be doing with these tiles here, some starting locations, and then on this side, the story of this episode and what you are trying to do, as well as some special actions down here. Everybody is going to pick a character, and you are ready to begin. This Fear of the Unknown box, much like the Cthulhu Death May Die original box, is a core box. That means you can play right out of it. You do not need the original content to play. And in fact, most of it is going to be very similar to the original box with a couple of differences. That's why I'm going to go through what the game looks like very quickly so that I can show you the 2 main new things that this is going to introduce. And you can introduce those things with this box back into the original core box if you so choose. And so the players are going to be attempting to disrupt the ritual and then take down the big bad, okay? They have a limited time window in which to do that, and they are going to be going down their turn here, attempting to pursue that. The first thing is on your turn, you're going to take 3 actions. They can be run, where you move around the board. They can be attacking a monster in your space by rolling some dice. You can rest and recover some of your health here, or some of your stress. You can also take an action that is given to you in the episode, or you can trade things with somebody else in your space. Having done 3 of those things, you're going to draw a Mythos card. The Mythos cards are a combination of cards that come from the episode, such as these cards here, and cards that come from the Elder one. These are shuffled together, and you are going to draw one of these and deal with something bad that's going to happen. Usually it spawns new baddies, that sort of thing. It also might give you that symbol, which is how the big bad advances. Once you get 3 of these, they are going to advance. Normally they're sitting right there, and they sort of clock over until, well, they bring doom and gloom into your life. With that done, then you are going to either investigate or fight. If you are alone, you're going to investigate by drawing a card and discovering something in that location. A flask. You can take the flask, you tuck it underneath your board on this side or on this side, and you have some new abilities. Sometimes it's various things, items, characters that you can take along with you, all sorts of things. And so you've got here a deck of cards for that. If you are not alone, instead the monsters attack you, and it's the same way you roll dice. And then lastly, at the end of the turn, if anything happens, you would resolve them right here during resolve end of turn step, and then it's the next player around the table. So rolling dice, you're always going to be rolling these 3 basic black dice. You might get green dice into that for every roll you make. And again, you make every roll in this game, even against you. The idea being there are 3 sides on these dice. This is a hit. That is good for you when you're the one rolling, bad for you when you're being rolled against, even if you are the one physically rolling the dice. This is insanity. Every time you see that, you're going to tick up your insanity track across the top. And then this one is an elder sign. It's nothing unless something says it's something. The stress on your board you can choose to spend to re-roll things. If this is your roll and you don't want that phase, you can spend 1 stress and re-roll it. And this time I got an elder sign. Well, it's nothing, but it's better than insanity. So you can choose to do that. You can keep spending it to keep re-rolling it. Whenever you get to one of these steps along the track that are in red, you are going to stop there, even if the amount of insanity would take you past it, and you are going to then advance one of these special abilities of yours, but not before you trigger your own insanity that is dealt to you randomly at the beginning of the game. Once you deal with that, you're going to pick one of these, level it up, and now you got better at something. You're also closer to dying, unfortunately, because if you get to the end of there, you'll be done. Along the way, you'll unlock various green dice, which is how you roll some of these. So that is the idea. As you get powerful, the game tension ratchets up. You get closer to being defeated, but you'll have quite a few dice and quite a few powerful abilities at your disposal. Now, there's two main things here I want to talk about that were not part of the original game. I'm going to go ahead and move this aside so I can mention those things, and they are going to be Wandering Monsters and Relics. So Wandering Monsters come into play with this sideboard right here, and you can have one Wandering Monster, or Unknown Monster as they call it, or two of those, up to you depending on how difficult you want to make the game. You are going to have these cards that are going to let you put a monster into play that is not already in play from the episode or from the Elder One, and now you can have something else moving around the board. And they have these cards. Many of these are going to be from expansion boxes and things like that. Many of them are even from the original core box. Like this comes in the original game. But let's say you pick that. It is going to now give you those figures. You'll be using them in the game, and they'll be moving around the board, messing with your best laid plans. So the way you do that is by shuffling some new cards into the Mythos deck. And when that comes up, then the monster will do something, and then you draw again. This will not be your one draw from the Mythos deck for that turn. You draw after that. If you go with two monsters, you'll of course shuffle more cards into the deck, and you are going to set another monster there. And the symbol on the card that you shuffle in is going to be the one that denotes which of the two activates. This simply makes the game harder, to be fair, but they do give you something new now that you can use to make the game easier. And you can use both at the same time, or only the Unknown Monsters, or only these relics. The relics are a stack of cards. There are more here than what comes in the core box. Be aware of that. There's some stretch goals and whatnot shuffle into this. So be aware of that. But basically, everybody gets one of these at the beginning of the game, and it's going to give you some new ability that you have immediately from the beginning of the game. But at some point in the game, when you go over your third red spot on your insanity track, well, you flip this over and it becomes an even more powerful thing. Your mind is fracturing. You believe you're not just holding a sinister book, but you are holding the Necronomicon itself. And there are various things like that. You have not just a glowing ring, but now it becomes a spectral ring, a relic of tremendous power. Each one of these gets a little bit better on the backside later game to sort of help you with a boost. So that is the idea, and they do all sorts of things, let you re-roll, let you move farther and faster, let you deal more damage, all sorts of manipulations that will be brought into play from these. And like I said, they're exclusively easier things. You can choose to play with just this if you already find the game too hard and not worry about the unknown monsters. But those are the two main things you'll find in this new core box. Let's go ahead and go back up top. So if you've seen our content before, if you've watched our top 100s, if you know any of that stuff or games we talk about frequently, then you might know that I really, really like Cthulhu Death May Die. If you don't, I really, really like Cthulhu Death May Die. It's one of my favorite games. I think it's a fantastic cooperative game. It's got a great theme. It's got incredible tension. And so expanding on that, introducing a new core box of that is a little bit of a double-edged sword for me, because I love my core box from the original wave. So is this going to be, am I going to treat this like just extra content and forget all this duplication of stuff that I don't really need? Or am I switching to this being the new core box? I think we kind of have to talk to two audiences here. People that are like, I don't know anything about the other stuff. What is this? Can I get this and enjoy this? And then people that just want more stuff.
Right, and just address, like, is this a starting point? Is this a valid starting point? And I would say absolutely. I think it is. I think it does. Some of the new stuff it brings with the Wandering Monsters, which you don't have to use even. Right. A lot of it's just like new characters, and then the artifacts that it brings.
Yeah, the relics.
Relics. Thank you. That brings. Those are modular where you can leave them, you can put them in, or you can not play with them either. So I would say that, yes, absolutely. For that audience that hasn't played before, this is just as easy of a starting point, and you shouldn't feel like, I'm now so far behind, there's so much for Cthulhu Death May Die, I'm just out. I don't feel like that is true at all in the case of this Fear of the Unknown.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I agree. This is a game I like a lot too. I actually snuck into the number 2 spot in my top 100 games this year, and so I'm a big fan of it. And since we're speaking to the audience of people that might be approaching it for the first time, I think that this is a perfectly valid starting point.
Yes,
100%. Is it better than the original core box? I don't know that it's a one-to-one comparison, quite honestly. I think that I almost would have been upset if I felt like the investigators were significantly better in this core box than they are in the original core box.
Sure.
And I don't think they are.
No,
I think there's great investigators in both core boxes.
Yes.
And so I would not look at this as being they fixed all the things that they got wrong in the original core box, and here's the best version of the game. You already had the best version of the game, I think, honestly.
I don't know if I agree with that. I do think there are things they do here that are better. Like, and I'm not talking about the things they added, the 2 new things, and we'll come back to, the relics and the wandering or what is it? Whatever, the monsters.
Yeah. Roaming monsters?
Roaming or whatever they're called. Unknown monsters.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
They did add a few quality of life things that I thought were clear improvements.
Okay.
Things like printing the amount of cultists or monsters that should be in the pool right on the card.
Okay,
that's true. That
was
better.
people had that question online a lot. They were like, okay, well, it says 6 cultists.
That is
Do
true.
I just use 6 cultists?
Yeah.
No, they're all in the pool. You only spawn 6. Fixed. Okay, that's gone. That's not a thing anymore. It should have been in the original one, honestly. There's a few, a rule book that has some padding.
That's fair.
And then I know that one thing you've talked about is that end of round. It's like on your player board, it just says resolve end of round. And you're like, what is it again? There's like 5 things you have to do. Yeah. And the order does matter in those. And so if you're playing with those unknown monsters, that is now on the main board. Everyone is seeing. So there is a quality of life improvement.
Yeah.
But I don't think that makes the first Cthulhu Death May Die core game invalid. If you find that one on sale, that's also still a great jumping on point. So there's little tweaks that are like, yes, this is better, but it's not get rid of what you have because this is so much better. It's all you ever need or want.
Yeah, I guess if you bring up that is a fair point. There are a couple of little things. They're not like game breaking things, but if you are 50-50 on either box, and you don't particularly like the setting more in one than the other. I mean, they're pretty similar, honestly. Yeah. Then maybe go with this one because it does have those couple of little things. That's
if the other one's on sale, get that one.
Sure. I mean, you're getting a great experience either way.
Yeah.
I think at this point, the only reason I would recommend anybody get the original Cthulhu Death May Die as a core box over this Fear of the Unknown core box is if you think the characters within it are more iconic, and they're a little more iconic. You've got Cthulhu in there, right? This is going to be, some big bats that came. They're a little lesser known stuff, but I think this is a better core box than the original core box. There's more clarity there. There's just more content there. There are now difficulty settings built into this game. That was not a thing in the original game. It's too hard. You keep getting whooped. Throw relics in there. Throw 2 relics if you want to. I don't know. Go crazy. Is it too easy? Are you walking all over the game? Then throw 1 wandering monster, unknown monster.
Also, you're playing it wrong if it's too easy.
Yeah, there's that too. They now also included these tokens that let you vary. If you learn where the big bads are going to show up, when they hit stage 2, it says like spawn at the blue gate. If you played the same episodes over and over, or you played with the same bat over and over, you could learn that.
Right.
Now they
I
have these
suppose so.
tokens you can shuffle, and it's random where they pop up. The longevity has been massaged in this game. There's a lot of things that, while they don't invalidate the first one, I think it does add some nice replayability, some nice variability to the what would be a good core box.
Yeah, I think if you are 50-50 on either one, then clearly this is the I'm trying to back up now because you have brought up a lot of very valid points. It's funny because I think I'm just so invested in the game that I'm not approaching it as a new player. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so
Yeah,
we should probably
Maybe.
then
I
switch
wasn't
to
even
that
thinking of that stuff.
conversation.
I really wasn't
Yeah.
even thinking about that. But now you're right. For first-time players, those are big differences.
They are, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to have. I think you alluded to this. That feeling of I'm too out. I've missed the boat, and I think that's an illusion. And if you are someone who's considered getting into this game, but you felt like it's been too long, there's too much content, this is it. This is all you need. Just try this.
Yeah.
It's going to teach you the game, give you a great experience. Has really fun episodes in here. Some nice historically based episodes in here that I thought were kind of interesting. Some good humor, some good horror. It's a great package overall.
Right. And I think there's a lot more variability in this box, whereas like with the first one, you need it, maybe the Kickstarter exclusive, you might have sought that out quicker than you would have if this is the jumping on point.
I agree with that. I agree with that too. Yeah, but you can, however, use this as more, which is what Mike is talking about. And at that point, you have a lot of variability. And in fact, I myself intend to do that, combine them so I have more of the insanities available, right? So you see more things. You have, there's more relics that will come in the expansions to this. You can take Cthulhu from the original Death May Die and use him in here. So you can do all of that stuff. And as far as more content, it's very good for that too.
And I think as somebody who has such a history with the game, and so, I mean, I as well have played this game, loved it before this core box. I'm so excited to take this box and this content and use it retroactively. I want to go back and fight big Cthulhu with some relics, or with my favorite character in here. I don't know who he is, the mad science guy with the hacksaw. Oh my gosh, he's so much fun.
Like that doctor guy who
he's so cool.
heals people. Yeah.
So I want to go back and try some of those old episodes that I love and I have such great times and memories of with the pieces of this that I'm really jiving with, that I'm really enjoying. So retroactively kind of using the different mechanisms that this brings in, and it's brought life to the old game. That by no means did I think the old game was dying by any means, but it definitely just kind of, helped raise it back up again. To be like, I can replay these again. I'm so excited. Just a little tweak here, a little tweak there. Try this one with a monster, an added monster as well. Kind of recreate these episodes.
Well, and those are the two new things, right?
Yeah.
The Unknown Monsters and the Relics. What do you guys think? Mike, what's your take on those two things?
Yeah, I think that they both are very simple ways to adjust difficulty, and I appreciate that because neither of them are particularly complicated or complex to implement.
Really.
Right. I mean, you're talking cards basically with the relics, and then the unknown monsters. You've already got monsters on the board. It's just another, And so I think it's a really nice way to have the difficulty adjusted. What I've done, honestly, every time that I've played with this new set, I've had both. I've just done both because then you're theoretically keeping it at about the same difficulty.
Are you doing two unknown monsters?
No.
Yeah, that's what I've been
doesn't
doing.
want to
I'm
step
doing
it up.
one.
No.
One and a relic.
That's what I'm. There's no way. I'm doing one, and I can see moving forward that I might, on some of the episodes I found just more difficult than others, especially ones that involved fire. For whatever reason, fire is my nemesis in this game. And so for those, I might just incorporate the relics and not bring in an unknown monster. And see if it really
Put
does.
in the fire vampire.
You put in the fire vampire. That's right.
That'll help.
Yeah, absolutely. So, generally, I think that's a great way to handle difficulty adjustment without adding complexity.
And it certainly injects variability in there. What do you think of those two things? You got a favorite? What's your preferred way to do it, do you think?
Yeah, so I've definitely found that the relics, I very much enjoy them. I feel like they make you can be a little bit more hit or miss in certain episodes. I have gone some where I never use my relic or never turn it over that power. I never get the benefit of it because it's more into me being a good fighter. But in that episode specifically, I had to be the one to go gather the resources or whatever it is that you're doing in that. So I found them to be a little bit more hit or miss. But man, when they hit, and one of my favorite mechanisms, like across all the games and stuff, is when you get hurt or lose life or something like that and get more powerful as you do. So then it becomes this balance of like, ooh, I want to take those hits. In this case, in this game, it's insanity. I want to take that insanity and go a little bit crazy. But if you go too crazy, you die and lose the game. And so it's finding that balance of doing that. And so I love that that's incorporated into the relics as well, because it just feeds right into that, because you're taking insanity and you don't just get another die that you get to roll. So you're not just more powerful. Your relic also becomes something, and then you feel like you're leveling up and powering up.
Right.
And so when that hits, it's fantastic. But like I said, I've had play sessions where they don't even come to play, or I don't get to turn it over, or something or it doesn't play into what my role in that session needs to be. As far as the unknown. Okay, I have wandering in my head. I've got massive darkness in my head, I guess. But as far as the unknown monsters, I think they're great. I think it's an easy way to have another thing. I like that they have their own cadence and cycle in the game, because they are tied more towards the big bad, and cycling with him. Coming
back on the
coming
board
back with the three little tokens, whatever they're called. Yeah, so they're more in that cycle, which is an interesting cadence. It's not just in those Mythos cards. They have their own I guess personality that you have to learn. When is it? I don't want to take them out because we're already at 2 of those tokens, so we're going to be cycling it and probably bringing you back in. So hold off, let him sit there for a minute, and then we'll kill him at the beginning.
Right.
Something like that. And so I think that is just another layer of interesting decisions, which makes it feel more strategic in what can be a very swingy game, because it's Ameritrash goodness.
And it just changes up the scenarios. It puts a little pressure on you. Sometimes in some scenarios, you can get away with things are kind of in their corners, and you're like doing something in the middle here and like keeping an eye on stuff, but they don't really come at you unless you walk over there and bring them with you, right? Drag them in. These unknown monsters, they come for you,
Yeah, they do.
And I like that. It's a nice little pressure, and it's so much variety. You can just, I'm going to play that same scenario, but now there's this wandering monster that's going to bring in fire or bring in being swarmed or whatever. Right. It's really interesting stuff.
Yep.
All right, guys. Final thoughts. Who wants to start?
You're looking at me.
I'm looking at you now.
Me? Okay.
Now I'm looking at you. Now I'm looking at you.
All right, I'll go. I'm going to come in at a 9 on this. I really like it. I think this is a fantastic place to jump in for new players. You should not be intimidated by everything backlogged up to this. This is a very valid jumping on point. I think if you already like the game, this complements what you have so very smoothly as an expansion and just more goodies. It brings, like we said, that variability. What brings it down to a 9 for me is I do find with both the Wandering Monsters and the Unknown Monsters and the Relics, it does add even more swinginess to it, and so that's kind of, I guess, the closest thing I can come to a negative to this. That being said, it's more of like a neutral, because that swinginess is so much fun and why I'm playing this game at the same time. So I really, really like it. I am having so much fun revisiting, like I said, my favorite episodes and bringing them up and trying. Some of these monsters that I've known from a specific episode, sprinkling them into a different episode. Yes. And like you said, the personality they bring, are there lots of little ones that just keep coming up and annoying you, or is it this big bad one that's just so tough? It's just really interesting and unique, and I think a pretty special product. So for me, it's a 9.
I'm going to do my best not to re-review Cthulhu Death May Die as a core game system, because it is so brilliant. Just the idea of mixing and matching, bringing this old one, and just like you said, the variability is just staggering. And the fact that it all works so seamlessly, so plug and play, is just amazing. So I already did kind of do that. Death May Die is a 10 for me. This certainly didn't do anything to bring it down.
Sure.
It's a 10. Right. This is my favorite dungeon crawl by a wide margin. It really is. So, like you said, if anything, all this is done has made me more excited to continue to play it. I mean, this is one of those games where as soon as I got it, the first thing I did was, all right, I'm opening up I looked through all the investigators. I'm all excited about these things. And it's like, not many games do that for me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I tend to be a little more cerebral but this one, I'm kind of like a little kid. You know what I mean? When I play this game. So I love it.
I'm pretty much right there with you, Mike. I think the original one has risen to become that, and this one is a better product in many ways than the first one. So, yeah, for me, it gets a 10 as well. I have issues. It's not that it's perfect, and I mean, I have the same, like, hey, stuff doesn't fit on the board issue I had with the original one.
Yeah.
The storage, I still wish was better in the box. This concept of there's a bucket of tiles and you're just supposed to thinly spread them across the top of the box. I still don't like that. Yeah. Is that enough to keep the game off the table? No. Is it enough to take away any of my ridiculous enjoyment and thrills and highs and lows when I'm playing the game? No. I love playing this game, and I think this is a tremendous box. It gives you so much content, so many fun decisions you can make now before you start playing the game.
Right.
Oh my gosh, and for me, the relics.
Yeah.
You said they're kind of swingy and sometimes they don't really work. I adore them. Like I cannot see myself playing without them.
I don't see why you would.
The game's pretty tough, so I'd like to win also.
To be fair, I'll always play with them.
Yeah.
I've definitely had sessions where it's like, oh, well, that never came into play. So it didn't matter.
They might not level up, and I agree with you. It's like, oh man, I didn't get there. But also, if they didn't level up, then I'm not dying probably, which is
true.
Which is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really enamored with this as a core box and as more content. So use it however you will. That is Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown, a very strong seal of excellence from all three of us. And that's going to do it, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Z Garcia.
I'm Camilla.
And I'm Mike DeLisio.
Watch out for some great old ones coming at your face.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.